Hello, this is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, August 18th, 2021. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we bring you stocks based on specific technical criteria, stock scans, and screeners that we have built in TC2000. And as always, these videos are sponsored by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate all of our long ideas from their stock universe, from their stock lists. You can get access to those lists with a link in the description of this video. Now, I'm going to be making a couple of format sort of changes here for our usual Wednesday trade ideas videos. And the changes are really going to be more focused and sort of education around some of the technical scans and criteria, the setups that we are highlighting. I want to sort of get away from just a straight up picks show. I don't want it to be just a random pick show because I don't think that that's actually all that helpful for anyone. I want it to be focused more around the core education maybe of the setup, just an understanding of why the stock is being presented as a potential opportunity. That way everyone has a little more comfort in the idea and they sort of understand why they may or may not want to actually, participate in that type of trade setup. So a little bit more on that side. Around the edges, ultimately, it's not going to change all that much the format, but I do have some different criteria, different format that I'm going to start to blend in here over the coming weeks. So as always, I love feedback. So leave a comment below, or you can always email us, contact@theTradeRisk. Contact@theTradeRisk is our best email address to reach out if you want to share your feedback on some of these things. So let's jump right into it here. We've got a handful of different stocks we're going to look at today. I want to start off with top left here. So I've got these three columns. I think I'm always going to keep these three watch lists here. Basically in the top, we've got the US averages, and I'm sorting everything by just the 5-day return. So basically you can see everything's been red here for the major averages over the past 5 days. Russell 2000 is the weakest here at almost minus 3%. If we look down here at the sectors, so these are all the sectors sorted based on 5-day performance. It's been very split. Healthcare and biotech utilities are at the top of the list here. And on this bottom watch list is just the stock universe. So this is IBD's watch list. This is our own TR150 watch list. This is sort of the pool of stocks that I am looking at on the long side. So let's jump into some of the ideas. The first here is letter X, and this is just coming from our fairly basic 52-week highs on volume. Basic scan, but a classic scan and a pretty darn powerful scan as it's held up through the test of time on being a good sort of idea generation criteria. Stocks that are hitting new 52-week highs, so that's 1-year highs, and doing it on heavy volume. So you can see again the volume at the bottom of my screen here. You can see we're already over the 1-month moving average, and of course I'm recording this intraday, so the day hasn't finished yet, and we're breaking out here to new highs. So letter X, steel, basic materials, that is currently working right now and breaking out. MACD is also leading, so pretty encouraging action there out of this particular stock. Now let's move on to a different technical setup here, and this is our pullback strength scan. So this is one that I tend to highlight pretty often because it's a pretty powerful setup, and I've seen lots of traders have some real good success with this. This is a stock scan that is looking for a particular stock that is in an uptrend. So it's seeing a good, healthy trend to the upside. It's got some good momentum behind it, but then it starts to pull back for a handful of days. Sometimes the pullback is gradual and shallow, and sometimes it's a little more steep. But here you can see we've got this nice run up, good volume that has come in, and then take a look down here at the nice light volume that has been sort of coming in here on this pullback. And now if we look at today's action, you can see that the stock is starting to actually lift up here. It is starting to break over the prior day's highs and starting to resume this trend back to the upside. That's exactly what this scan is looking for. momentum names that have pulled back. A lot of people like to call this just a bull flag setup. If that's what you want to label it, that's entirely fine with me. I don't tend to use those labels, but it's basically what it's looking for. So PACK, this is a pullback setup here in a nice strong uptrend. If this is your cup of tea, then this is an interesting name to pay attention to. As you can see, it's on our list here of quality vetted, pre-vetted stocks. So PACK, that's the first idea. We're going to stick with this pullback strength scan, look at something like a JEF, because this is also hitting the same exact scan. This looks a little bit different. This is a financial services sector here, and you can see that this one maybe doesn't have as strong as a momentum behind it in the prior uptrend. It is in a slower beta sort of place, but if you think about some of the pullback and volatility we've seen in the market, this is still held up pretty well. And again, you still have the same similar pattern here of a multi-day pullback, and now we're starting to lift back to the upside. So same kind of look here, JEF, just a different sector and a different type of stock. And I want to go one more on this setup here, so HLIT. So once again, we've got this pullback setup, but we've got just a different look here. We've got a more extended pullback. First things first, you can see that it's been pulling back for about 8 or 9 days. It got right into this gap here, and you can see this is where buyers are starting to come back in. We're starting to lift back up over the prior day's highs, and this could be an early start to a trend continuation back to the upside. Once again, you can see nice healthy uptrend that has been in place prior to this trade setup. So this is all the same scan. That's our pullback strength scan. All of these scans, by the way, I forgot to mention at the top of the video, are available on our website. Some of them are free, some of them are premium paid scans, but if you're a TC2000 user, you can download and access and purchase all of these scans. So let's move on to a newer scan that we've published to the store, and this is our high volume strong close scan. And so this particular scan is another form of a momentum sort of setup here. This one is clearly where the momentum is most immediate, but it is looking for a stock that is seeing a big above average move. So in its range, you can clearly see Lowe's here today certainly fits that description. This is a massive print here, massive daily range on today's action. It's looking for high volume, and you don't have to look too hard to see the huge volume that is coming in today's session. And it is also looking for a strong close or a move where the closing price or the current price is towards the highs of the day. And so we have all of those checkbox here in Lowe's, and I highlighted it because it's happening at a pretty interesting spot here. It's basically, almost engulfing this entire range that has been, in place for the past 5 or 6 months. Now, coincidentally, full disclosure, I have a long position. We have a long position here in Lowe's. This is part of our Merlin trading system, not for today's setup. It's been involved in this a little bit earlier. I don't have, let's see if I can find the 192.56 looks to be the exact entry that we are involved in this stock. We are still, profit targets are higher, so we are still holding this stock, but we were involved in an earlier spot here in this consolidation. So we are long Lows, and we are seeing this surge here as it kind of engulfs and takes out this potential consolidation. So nice momentum setup. The chase is on. So again, you have to be a trader that is comfortable with kind of jumping in after this move, but there's obviously lots of momentum behind this name. Same exact stock scan is GOOS. GOOS. I'm not sure if I just said 3 O's. Now, this is the same high volume, strong close scan, but notice this looks entirely different here. This has been a more kind of sluggish downward and just unexciting stock for the past several months. And it really just got sold off pretty darn hard over the past six or 7 days. It lost almost 20% of its value here. And now, though, you can see on today's action, it's really seeing a bit of a springboard off of these, $36 areas, because we've got this nice, kind of gap up session good range coming in, heavy volume already coming in, and it's now closing back at the top of the range. So the cool thing about this scan, the high volume, strong close scan, is that it can be a strong directional momentum name where it's breaking through resistance and taking out highs, but it can also be a scan that is aggressively rebounding off of lows and coming off of maybe an oversold level or just a notable sort of pivot or decline. So GOOS, this is also hitting our high volume, strong close scan. Now I got a couple more ideas here. The next is a bear setup. So the UPS is this particular stock, and this is hitting our breakout failure scan. And so what this scan, this technical setup, is looking for is a stock that is moving or attempting to break out of resistance. It fails at resistance, and then it starts to roll over. And so for UPS, the resistance here is identified as basically this gap or the prior kind of multi-week highs here. So this scan is noticing that it is trying to get back over this earlier in the day, and the stock is getting rejected, and it is now back towards the lows of the day. Now, when I first scanned for this, we were a little bit lower, but we are still kind of near the bottom third of this range. If by the end of the session today, we're back over, 190 or even 190, I'm sorry, not 190, but 195, 198, then this is a kind of all bets off. This stock would not be showing up on this technical scan anymore. So keep that in mind. If we do get a strong close here, then this setup would be invalidated. But if we close weak, then we have the ingredients here for some failing at resistance. So that's what this scan is looking for. If you're looking for short exposure, if you're trying to take a directional bet here and looking to hedge portfolios, or just, again, don't like the industrial sector or this stock specifically, and you think that this gap down could lead to, more pain, then this is a bear setup for you. Last but not least, we have two ideas here from our ultimate consolidation scans. This is one of our favorite scans. We are looking at a long-term consolidation here. So basically what we're seeing is this big range that the stock has gone absolutely nowhere in. But if we zoom out, we can see that this is in a long-term kind of secular uptrend. And so when we look here at this technical setup, we've got the ingredients of a stock that is consolidated nicely in a long-term uptrend. And so the trade setup is watching for a breakout of this range, looking for some type of resolve out of this range. And because the trend is up on the long-term time frame, that ideal direction is to the upside. And so fate here, nice consolidation in place, good move today, but notice today it's still just in the range. So you're really going to need to see a move over, call it 98. And if you really want to see that confirmation, then some traders are going to be waiting for 52-week highs or a move up into the 100s. And it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever your sort of risk tolerance is. Usually the earlier you get in, the more uncertain the move, but the bigger the payout, and vice versa. If you're waiting for confirmation, then you get more higher probability trades, but maybe you don't win as much. So fate is hitting our ultimate consolidation long-term scan, and our RAIL, so this is rail, freight car America, is also hitting our long-term consolidation scan. Again, you can see we've got this nice orderly sort of mostly sideways range here, but we've got some declining peaks there. We've got a nice kind of horizontal base, and this is what the scan is looking for. It's looking for stocks that are compressing, that are moving sideways, that are doing it over, in this case, a long multi-month period of time. And again, if we zoom out here, you can see it's had a nice multi-year run, and it is now consolidating that move. Same kind of comments from last time. We are waiting on this technical setup for a breakout of this range, ideally to the upside. But of course, if this starts to break down and you do want to short something like this, then obviously you could do that. I would put extreme caution your way, because this is a very small company. 82 million market cap is what I'm seeing here, with a very small float. So this is not something I would feel all that comfortable shorting, but obviously every trader, to each their own. I'd much more be looking for a breakout of this range if it happens to resolve higher over, six and change, whatever you want to look for. So that's it. That is all of the technical setups. Again, you can find all of those scans on our website. This video went a little bit longer than I anticipated. I might need to shrink down the ideas if I'm going to go a little more in depth on the format here, but let me know your thoughts. If you like this kind of new direction here, obviously not a whole lot changed, but I'm going to start to introduce maybe some new scans, some different ways to look at markets, and kind of bring in a little more of the foundational rules around some of these setups. So every Wednesday, trade ideas just like this. Be sure to check in. IBD, Investors Business Daily, links in the description of this video. Check out the stocks that they have on their watch list. And I hope everyone has a great week. We'll see you back here on Friday for the long form market recap video.